Hey there, welcome to Top of Her Game. I'm Tara Slone in the Sportsnet studio in Toronto, the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the Credit Anishinaabe people. On paper, today's subjects may seem like they're a world apart. On one hand, you have a social and racial justice advocate from California. On the other, a Canadian ultramarathon swimmer. But if you look closer, you'll see that Renee Hess and Vicky Keith have a lot in common. They both have a determination that few others possess. We'll meet Vicky Keith in just a little bit, but first, she is an educator, an activist, and she has become one of the most powerful voices in the movement to change hockey culture. This is my conversation with Black Girl Hockey Club founder, Renee Hess. Renee, I am so grateful to have you with us today, and I'm just going to start with a simple how are you? Because these are the most intense of times.
You know what? I'm doing okay, but that's just because I'm making it a point to take care of myself, practice self-care. Uh, Today, I've been working really hard, and so I've stayed off social media, which does wonders
Mm.
for my mental health. And, just basking in the California sunshine. It's nice and warm here this winter, and trying to stay healthy and happy and sane as we navigate these strange times that we're in.
Black Girl Hockey Club is quite a phenomenon, and I sort of had this vision, and actually it's sort of social media based. I had a vision of the meme that is where it started and how it's going, and I'm wondering if for Black Girl Hockey Club you could give me sort of both images for you.
Where it started would probably look like me, my first tweet on the Black Girl Hockey Club Twitter account saying, "Are there any other Black hockey fans out there? And if so, can I be your friend?" Because that's what I really started off doing, was looking for friends and looking for a community.
Mm.
And where it ended up, well, I don't think we're there quite yet. We're still shifting and changing and developing new ideas with Black Girl Hockey Club. And so I suppose something that is really cool that has happened that shows that we've come a long way is our scholarship program, and
Hmm.
being able to offer, $10,000 three times a year to Black girl hockey players between the ages of 9 and 18 all over the world. And so if I would have known that, reaching out, looking for other people who look like me to come hang out and go to hockey games, would have turned into such a amazing opportunity to offer to young Black girl hockey fans. I don't think I would have believed it if you showed it to me.
There have been so many beautiful write-ups, and something struck me. Sports Illustrated said that Black Girl Hockey Club went from social group to agents of change, and I actually think that's a very perfect way to put it. So I want to start with the social group and like you looking for a group of friends and people that looked like you to go to hockey games. I mean, what was the idea behind the inception to begin with?
I really just wanted to share hockey within my culture, because I remember going to my very first hockey game and looking around the arena and not seeing any faces that look like mine. And the few times that I would go to games, I would go with my husband or, friends who were interested in hockey, none of whom are Black. And I would feel a little out of place. And it's not easy to walk into a space like a hockey arena, which is a predominantly, cis white male gendered space, and be a complete outlier in that space. And so I really just wanted to, with Black Girl Hockey Club, create a community of BIPOC folks who are excited and engaged in the sport of ice hockey.
So the first time you met, the first time you went out as a group and went to a hockey game, what did that look like?
The first time we met to go out as Black Girl Hockey Club was in December of 2018. We went to Washington, D.C. to go see the Washington Capitals. They had just won the Stanley Cup, and they did so with a couple Black players on their team. They had Devontae Smith Pelly at the time and Madison Bowie. They also had two Black minority owners
Hmm.
that made it just a really exciting opportunity to get to go out there and participate in a game that involved players on the ice and people in the front office who look like us. And so I put out a call on social media asking if there were any people who wanted to meet up in DC to go see a hockey game. And we ended up with 45 Black women, their families, their friends in the stands at the Capitals arena enjoying a hockey game, many of whom had never been to a game. This was their first time. And as that game wrapped up and that experience kind of wound down, I realized that we could do more than just be a fan club and just go to games together, that this was an opportunity to build community, to allow these women to get to know one another.
What was the catalyst though? Because it really, I mean, you shifted into high gear at a certain point, and now you're making a real mark in terms of the world of hockey. People are listening to you. People are learning from you. Was that a decision that happened at a certain time, or was it gradual?
It was definitely gradual, but it feels as if it happened very quickly. I spent most of 2019 struggling with that question. What can
Hmm.
we do? How can we grow? What's the best avenue to pursue? And at the end of 2019, it took 9 months for me to decide to file with our federal government for nonprofit designation so that we could collect donations, so we could do things like have a scholarship program and be able to address some of those gatekeeping barriers that young Black girls face in hockey. And so it does seem like a quick turnaround, but in reality, it was a struggle to know that, you know, it was going to really be a shift in how I approached the idea of Black Girl Hockey Club and how Black Girl Hockey Club kind of faced the rest of the hockey community and the type of impact that we were going to have. I hoped that we would have an impact. I didn't really anticipate it being so pervasive.
Not long ago, and in an ongoing way, you are challenging us all to get uncomfortable, the Get Uncomfortable Challenge. What exactly is that?
So the Get Uncomfortable Challenge is an advocacy campaign with three campaign tenets. The first one is to encourage the hockey community to make the sport more welcoming for Black girls and the BIPOC community, whether it's players, as fans, or executives up in the C-suite. Uh, One of the second tenets of our campaign is to employ and recruit BIPOC applicants to begin the process of diversifying hockey at all levels. We want Black folks to be playing hockey. We want Black folks in the front office. We want Black folks in the C-suites. We want that representation because with that brings a shift in perspective. And then lastly, educate the hockey community on social justice, on allyship. This gives us a chance to have those uncomfortable conversations, those conversations about equity and inclusion, diversity, and race relations. And we would like those conversations to be led by BIPOC folks, leaders in anti racism, advocates, players, and fans, because those perspectives are so important when it comes to diversifying hockey and actually having a shift in hockey culture.
Well, then I have to ask, how is the greater hockey community doing? And I don't know, is there a greater hockey community, or do you have to kind of, how is the NHL doing? How are the various women's organizations doing? How is minor hockey doing? But how are we doing? Are things shifting? Are you seeing uh, real actionable change?
I would say that we do have to look at hockey as an entity, but the NHL is a leader in that community. They're
Mm.
leading the way, and many of the hockey organizations like USA Hockey and Hockey Canada and the youth hockey organizations look to the NHL as a change leader. And so when we see the NHL making these shifts towards inclusion, we see that effect trickling down. And for Black Girl Hockey Club, we want to start at the grassroots level. We want to start with the kids in the youth leagues, because that is where the change is going to happen whenever we educate on allyship with the parents and the coaches and the players and the staffs and the board members
Mm.
at the youth hockey level. That change will permeate higher up all the way, hopefully, to the professional level. That's the hope anyways.
I mean, what is your assessment let's talk about the NHL specifically. NHL is back in action. There were a lot of people who were not very impressed with how the NHL handled themselves around anti-racism sentiment in the summer, especially compared to other leagues. Do you think they're doing enough?
Doing enough is not for me to say.
Hmm.
I would hope that the NHL, whoever it is, the executives, the individual clubs, would look outside into their communities, their local communities, the global community, and see that there's a demographic shift. There's a change in demographics all over the United States, all over North America, and all over the world, in which minorities are becoming the majority, and minorities are taking interest in things that perhaps were never interesting to us before. And hockey is one of those sports that is known as being a mostly predominantly white sport. But yet that's because of the gatekeeping tactics in the last 100 years, and that those are in come in the form of financial gatekeeping, location, accessibility, things like that, not to mention hiring practices. And so I look at individual clubs and the things the Seattle Kraken are doing right now to be inclusive from day one. And it gives me hope that the other clubs and the rest of the league and the rest of the world will take notice of how beneficial that can be, not only to their local community, but also, we're talking to business folks, to their wallets. It's beneficial to have a wide, broad audience. And, BIPOC folks want to be a part of that.
What about the role of women's hockey in all this? Because sometimes, obviously, um, women are marginalized in the hockey community as well. But we have to talk about intersectionality because women's hockey is also predominantly been white. So what role can the NWHL play, the PWHPA?
I think that they have the same opportunity as any of the professional leagues. And that comes with a responsibility as well to amplify BIPOC voices and to support grassroots organizations like Black Girl Hockey Club and others that are out there that perhaps are not as well known. And intersectionality is incredibly important. We cannot dismiss the fact that there are less than half a dozen players of color in the National Women's Hockey League. But the wonderful thing about that is that those that are ready for the shift. They're ready for the culture shift. They're ready to help make a change. People like Soroya Tinker and Kelsey Colzer and Blake Bolden and Sarah Nurse are here to support organizations like Black Girl Hockey Club, because they know how hard it was for them growing up, and for them to be able to give an opportunity of mentorship or support to organizations like Black Girl Hockey Club, as well as the individuals that we work with. It's huge, and they're there for it. What we need also is for their teammates to stand up, to be allies. And, that's where those uncomfortable conversations come in, and looking at how to be better allies, how to better diversify the sport of hockey in an intersectional way is incredibly important.
I hate to keep asking you for like report cards on everybody in the hockey community, but I do have to ask you one thing because this actually has been weighing on me for quite some time. Uh, of course, I love the Hockey Diversity Alliance, and I think that they have made incredible inroads and these big, strong voices in the National Hockey League community. There are no women on the Hockey Diversity Alliance. That's problematic to me. Have you had a conversation with them? Have you talked to them? Why are they leaving women out of this conversation?
I haven't talked to them. No, we haven't been in communication in that sense. It is problematic and it's troublesome, and it goes to show a blind spot, right? Because diversity is intersectional. It's not just about race, it's not just about gender, it's not just about sexuality or ability, it's all of those things combined. And what I do appreciate about the HDA is that there is, just like Black Girl Hockey Club is a support system, that is a support system for professional players that they did not have this time last year. And so that's wonderful for them. I would like to see them open the ranks up a bit and allow for a different perspective, right? Because when we allow Black women, and specifically, LGBTQ Black women, to be a part of the status quo, we're breaking down the walls, we're breaking down those barriers. And I would like to see the HGA take that into consideration.
Your grading is done. The report cards are over, I promise. How can people get involved? And I do want to make it clear that Black Girl Hockey Club is available to anyone and everyone. If you want to join the movement and be an ally, you can join, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be Black and you don't have to be a girl to be part of the Black Girl Hockey Club. You just got to support Black women and support the cause of intersectionality and diversity and inclusion and equity. We do have a website, blackgirlhockeyclub.org, and we have a scholarship application in which we just actually closed the scholarship application period for winter. It will open back up at the end of March for our summer applications, but we need funding for that, so we definitely accept donations meant for the scholarship fund. We also do educational events, and we're hoping to pull some together for Black History Month, which is coming up quickly in February, in which we sit down with Black players and fans and coaches, and we talk about issues of race relations within the hockey community. And those educational panels, they cost money to do tech and stuff like that. And so if you want to get involved, participate in one of the educational panels, donate to the scholarship fund. And if you can't do it with your pocketbook, you can always amplify Black voices on social media, share information, talk about things with your friends and your peers and your coworkers. Word of mouth is the best way to get information to your friend group. And so we appreciate whatever folks want to do at whatever level.
Renee, we leave all of our guests with the same question, and that is, what is your best advice to a young Renee Hess?
The best advice I have to a young Renee Hess is to acknowledge the power of my voice. For so much of my youth, I spent quiet and shy in the corners and not speaking my opinions out of fear of what people were going to say or what people were going to think. And I would tell the young me to just be patient, because apparently people might care what I have to say.
Well, your voice is so important and so gentle at the same time. So thank you for all that you do and continue to do for this.
Thanks for having me on, Tara. It was good chatting with you.
Yeah, you too.